Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what side of the meridian you are on. And welcome to the very first edition of Real Talk with Tanya, Tia, and Jace. We are so pleased to be here today. And yes, Tia is MIA, but she may pop in at some point. We will welcome her when she gets there. She had a prior engagement uh, for today that was forgotten, but hey, we have to honor our commitments. So let's start this first edition off with a blessing, just because everything deserves a blessing.
Yes.
Dear universe, dear creator, dear spirit guides, please give us a blessing for this flagship edition of Real Talk. A blessing just for us. Here it is. We get the blessing of patience.
Hmm.
A blessing comes disguised as a setback or delay. This card is confirmation that you are on the right path. With patience and perseverance, you will reach your goal. All is accomplished in perfect time. Namaste. Oh my goodness, that could not
Namaste.
be a more perfect blessing. All right, y'all. This is not a political show. This is a freestyle chat, get together, backyard barbecue, throw down, chop it up, do what we want to do, have a good time show. This
Yes.
is a show where the audience is encouraged to participate. Um, so I'm gonna introduce my co-host Jace. Good
Hello,
morning, Jace.
everyone. Happy Saturday.
Jace, why don't you tell the folks a little bit about yourself?
Well, um, I have been involved with music and singing since I was a child. I have actually had the pleasure of working with some of the biggest rock, jazz, and R&B singers in this business who are now, I call them iconic. We look at ourselves now and probably call ourselves the grandmothers, the granddaddies, because I come from the age of Stanley Clark, the monster bass player, who actually was the first man to play the bass as a solo instrument, as a lead instrument. Shaka Khan. I've gone out with, I don't know if anybody remembers Rita Coolidge, Van Morrison. I've had those kinds of experiences, just to name a few. So yeah, music has been my comforter. It has been, it's something I just simply can't do without, and that is probably the most interesting thing. Otherwise, it's just my my life. Every day cleaning, doing laundry, whatever it takes, all the unglamorous chores and whatnot. But yeah, that's what I do. That is my heart, and I have a now, with the help of Johnny from Tarot's Apprentice and Adrian of Red Lentil Healing. They are the reason that I have a YouTube channel. They ushered me in and then, pushed me out the nest and forced me to do solo. Um, However, we do get together from time to time to do some readings. And so, yeah, that's it. The rest of it is everyday life.
All right, all right, all right. Okay. Hello to everybody in the chat. Today's first edition of Real Talk is ghost stories. So I'm going to start this off. And I'm going to have to thank Jace for this because I was going to start with a different ghost story. And I bent down my head to show her this mark. And she said something and pop, That was my first ghost story to start this off with, because this is the first ghost that I ever encountered, and this ghost left a physical
Oh,
imprint
wow.
on me. Yes.
Well, can
Okay,
we just
now,
acknowledge that it's Tia's birthday also?
well, we'll get to that. Her birthday's
Okay.
Tuesday. Her birthday's
Oh, okay. I
Tuesday.
thought it was today.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's Tuesday. No. Okay. Picture this. I think, how old was I? I think I must have been about 28, maybe 29. I don't know if I had started working for the Department of Corrections yet.
Hmm.
Um, no, actually, I think I was younger than that. I must have been about 23 or 24. Yes, must have been about 23 or 24. Anyway, living in a little town called Holbrook, Arizona, y'all. This town is it's a dirt town, a whistle stop, a literal whistle stop. Population, about under 10,000 people.
Mm.
So very small. And this is a stretched out community, rural, dirt town. Used to only have one stoplight. Then they expanded and upgraded and got two.
Sound
So
like where I grew up in Nevada.
it grew up. So I was sitting in my living room, and my children were very, very small then. And this native man comes banging at my door, and he was screaming. He was like, "Do you have a pair of scissors? Do you have a pair of scissors?" And he said his wife couldn't breathe. So I grabbed the scissors and chased him down the road to where they were squatting in this abandoned building.
Hmm.
So I go in, I just follow him in, and this woman is laying on the mattress, or she might have been laying on the floor and I moved her to the mattress, but anyway, she wound up on the mattress. I bent down and I looked at her. She's completely blue.
Mm.
She has a shoelace tied around her throat. Yeah, it is exactly what
Wow.
you think happened. And I cut that shoelace off of her throat and I started trying to do CPR on her. Um, so no, she was on the mattress. So, and I tried to put her on the floor, but she was way bigger than me and I couldn't move her. So I'm doing CPR, and I had yelled at one of my kids to call 911. My daughter was the oldest, so she called 911, and it seemed like forever before the fire department, which was one street over from where we were, it took them forever. So I'm doing solo CPR, compressions and breaths on this woman. And I am breathing, I am blowing into her mouth, and I am hitting a wall. Her
Mm.
entire esophagus was collapsed. Okay. So
Mm.
I'm not giving up.
Yes.
Finally, the fire department is at the door and they bust in, and the first thing they do is yell at me because she's on the mattress. And I'm screaming, I couldn't move her. What do you want me to do? Just sit here and do nothing? Or do what I can. I couldn't move her. And
Mm.
her old man was curled up in the corner. Literally, this entire time since I came into this building, he has not helped. He was in the corner, literally in a ball in the corner, just watching me try to save his wife. That's what he called her. So the
Mhm.
paramedics take her. The fire guys call the ambulance. Ambulance comes in. They take her to the hospital. I don't hear anything. The next morning, I wake up, and I'm young, and I had hair then. I had really nice hair then. I woke up the next morning, and I had a streak of white, not gray,
Mm.
white hair. It used to be a straight line from this. my third eye, straight up. I called the hospital. I woke up and I saw that, and it freaked me out. But I called the hospital and I asked if the lady that they had brought in had survived, and they told me that she didn't. That um she was dead.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, okay.
Mm.
So my grandma, who was, a very wise woman, she had come over, and I showed her, and she said, "You're blessed." She said that woman's spirit passed through you.
Mm.
So, and I always have. And this was a native, and this is what is incredible. This is a native woman. This is a Navajo woman.
Mm.
And I've always just had things that are, I mean, where I live, that little town was part of the Navajo reservation, Navajo
Mm.
reservation all
Yeah.
around it. So everybody had their turquoise and, dream catchers and this and that, but it was always more than that, you
Yeah.
know. Like I learned how to count in Navajo, and Navajo is the code talkers for World War II.
Yeah. Yeah.
Navajo is one of the most hard to speak, hard to decipher languages on this planet. And I learned how I can still count to five, I do believe. And my auntie taught me this in like one lesson, and it just stuck. And I'm gonna do it for you. I'm gonna like a little trained monkey. I'll count as far as I can remember. It was at a nakita din ashla a neshta nesna. I got a little stuffy because you have to use the upper part of your nose to
Mm-hmm.
speak Navajo. And that's about as far as I can go. But I know that is part of that woman, part of herself. I'm going to cry.
Oh,
That she left behind in me,
yes.
because I didn't think twice. When that man said, "My wife, I need scissors, my wife needs help," it was I need help. That was all it took.
Mm-hmm.
I put my mouth on this woman's mouth. I did not take it off. I did everything I could to put air into her body. I didn't think about myself. I didn't think about a disease. I didn't think about nothing. None
Yeah.
of that ever crossed my mind. But that was the first time that I know that I experienced the other side, because
Mm.
that woman left that mark. And over time, it has this is the mark. It has changed over the years. And over the last 5 years, actually, since I found my dad, my real biological father, this white streak has turned into a heart.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
It's a heart. I
It's
mean,
a heart. It resembles a heart.
it's actually changing now. It was a perfect heart for a long time, and now it's changing again. I don't know what it's going to be when it finishes doing what it's doing, but my gray is starting to spread around and everything else. Hopefully one day, hopefully I go completely this color.
Mm-hmm.
Be like a little glow in the dark eraser. But that's my first ghost story, Jay. How about you? Well, wait, hold on. Before we do this, because this is a interactive show, let me not forget to jump over here and talk to our chat and say hello to all of our wonderful people who are
Yes.
here to support us. Okay, hello, Jaconda and Sharon. Hello, Linda. Carrie, hello. Hello. Okay, Jay Pranti, hello. Hello, Sharon and Linda. Okay, that's everybody in the chat. We're caught up. And I don't see any questions over here.
Not yet.
So, okay, wonderful. All right. So, Jace, let's hear about your scary
Well,
ghost story.
I lived in performed in Hawaii for several years, and so all of the encounters that I remember came from that time because Hawaii is a very spiritual place. And I was living in a house, getting a room with a friend that I also sang with. And one evening, I was just there by myself, just kind of chilling, and I saw something run past me, you know. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe it's that good ass weed you smoking that you see, you're seeing. But it was not, because it was a spirit of a child that had, I don't know if that child had lived in a house, but he would go in and out the rooms and I could hear him giggling, like he wanted me to chase him and play with him.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, so he didn't appear when there were other people in the house. It was always when I was there alone, and very relaxed. And he would pop up, and it was playtime, So I would run with him through the house. I would chase him, and I could hear him giggling like he probably was just a toddler, maybe 3 years old. So we would play this game where I would chase him through the house, and I'd say, "I see you," and he would giggle and he would run. So that is like the first ghost story or spirit story that I can recall, like, right offhand. Yeah, and it was always fun. I didn't feel any kind of anything but a delightful, happy little baby vibe. He was, and I know it was he because I could almost see his hair. I could see his little t-shirt and shorts and his little bare feet. As he would run from room to room. So we would play hide and seek, you know. It was fun.
oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's wonderful. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's funny. It's like this house that I live in now. If any of you guys follow me across any of the other social medias, especially on my TikTok page, um, and that's under Tanya Stingling, I have this part of my uh, dining room is a portal, right over there.
Mm.
And I have about 10, 15 videos of orbs that are in my house that are literally shooting up out of the floor in my bedroom. All kinds of ghost orbs in this house, but almost every house that I have lived in, I have been in contact with the spirits in there. When I moved into this house, the first thing that I thought was that an elderly woman had passed away. But I found out that the people who had lived in this house for 20 years had moved across the street. So there was no elderly woman who had passed away. But
Mm-hmm.
there was an elderly woman who was in this house. And she was, when I first moved in, I'm not going to say she was malevolent because it was more like she was irritated.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk to everything. I talk to everything. I talk to everything as if it is an animate object. My poor phone has probably got a complex because I take all my anger out on Siri. For real.
She
When
deserves it.
I yell at her.
Yes.
All the spirits. But anyway, my second ghost story. My this one is kind of sad. My cousin, my big cousin, her name was Emma. She was my favorite person on this planet. And my girl lived her life. Player. She had a husband and two boyfriends. I mean,
See, see.
and wasn't ashamed of nothing. She was separated from her husband and had this boyfriend and this boyfriend. One boyfriend worked for the railroad and another one worked for another big company. So I mean, and the husband was a truck driver. So I mean, number one, every single one of them was paid.
I hear that. Yes.
And then it's like she was incredible to me because I saw this woman who had three relationships with three different people, and she was authentic in every single one of them. It was a singular relationship with each of these three people. Well,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, two of the boyfriends were in town, and she had called me over because the railroad guy was going to stay at her house until he was supposed to get on the next train to leave. So she wanted me to let him in, and she had laid out towels and stuff for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is my big cousin. My little baby he was about 2 years old, I think. So I went over there and just listened to her instructions about what she wanted me to do, and just hugged on her and loved her. She was my favorite person before she went to work. So she went to work. I left and went home and waited for her railroad boyfriend to call me,
Mm-hmm.
and he did, and I went and picked him up, and then I drove him to her house. Her other boyfriend was at the house. He met me there, and
Mm-hmm.
he told me, he says, everybody's over to Emma's mama's house. You need to go over there. And that's all he said.
Mm-hmm.
So me and him I let him in the house. I let the railroad man in the house because he was greasy and nasty, so he needed to take a bath and everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
let him in the house and gave him the key, and then I drove behind the boyfriend over to Emma's mom's house, which my auntie Oni.
Mm-hmm.
It's family, so ain't no knocking. I get to the house, everybody's there, and but I'm not feeling nothing. I'm just like, what the heck's going on? Nothing has stuck. I'm so just completely ignorant at this time. I'm not reading no clues. I'm happy I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
helping my big cousin. I will open the door and I look in the kitchen, plain as you are. I see my cousin standing in the kitchen fixing a plate of food.
Mm-hmm.
I look at her mama. Her mama said, Emma dead.
Ooh.
And then I look back, and then I literally just dropped. Because
Mm-hmm.
I saw her. I could tell you exactly what she was wearing, how her posture was, her grin on her face, because she was looking at me because it was ham. And that, I didn't even, the smell of the ham when I walked through the house, because this is typical black folks.
Yeah.
And Emma was standing in the kitchen making herself a plate. I saw her as solid as you are
Wow.
until her mama said, and she just said it. She said it and just, she shattered. And then, boom, I was out, because when I looked back, she was gone. And it was like the air just got sucked out me. So, and this is typical. So everybody all our black folks out there in the chat is gonna understand this. So this is back in the 90s. And this is where end of the road and pour one out for your homies and everything like that.
Yeah.
So anytime somebody died that was young, and Emma was probably only about 32 years old. I was only like 23.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So everybody met that night at the only black bar in this town, and it was called the Thunderbird. We call it the T-Bird. And everybody was out there. Everybody had their bottles. Everybody was
Just
pouring them
pouring
out.
a libation, yeah.
I mean, End of the Road was playing on, on repeat. Everybody was hugging and crying. Now I'm gonna say something, and don't y'all judge me out there. I had to provide comfort to this person. Anyway, the man, Emma's boyfriend, who was on the railroad, was crying, crying, crying. So I went home. I took him to my house
Mm-hmm.
and gave him comfort. And while comfort was being given, my cousin, I love my cousin, showed up right over his shoulder looking at me, smiling as big as day, smiling at me, saying, "That is fine. Thank you."
Oh.
She was she was like literally like on his shoulder, just like, but it was like, I was like, and then she just kind of left.
Uh-huh.
And I love her. And that was, I had no feelings for this man. I was 20, young,
Mm-hmm.
you know what we do when we young women.
Oh yeah.
But
I know what I did.
I know what why lie? Why lie? We all had a little bit
I
of
know what
it.
I did. I
But
did.
anyways, I mean, it was what I could do to help the man at the time. It was not for me. Believe me, it was a selfless act.
Yeah.
It was. I was not impressed. It
We
was
call
a,
it
it was a selfless act.
sympathy P.
It was. That's exactly what it was. It was comfort. When I say I gave him comfort, that is all that was for him to have somebody to hold on to and cry.
Mm-hmm.
And do what he had come to do anyway, because that's what he had come to
That's
do,
what he had come to do. Just to get comfort.
to get comfort. That was the whole reason for the layover on the trip. So, you know, just help my big cousin out. Don't judge me out there, y'all.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Let me go to the comments. Uh, hello, Risa. Hello. Hello. Risa. Risa says, I'm totally judging. Don't judge me, Risa. Don't judge me. Look at William Cottrell said, girl, you a good cousin. Thank you, William. You understand.
Yes.
You understand. I was 20 something, y'all. My baby was like 3 years old. We all know what we do when we young. All right. You got another one?
I do. It's also happened in Hawaii.
Okay.
And this one was scary. It
Oh.
was frightening. Uh, so um, my friend Marie and I moved into this beautiful house on the Mauka side of the island, which is the mountain side. It was gorgeous. The owner of the home was a man he had two daughters, and he had a girlfriend, and his wife had transitioned from cancer. She'd had cancer, and she actually, I guess, succumbed in the house.
Mm.
So when I moved in, she was a painter. And when we moved in, there was a portrait of a woman who appeared to be an older woman. Everything about this portrait was perfect. It was painted except for the face. So that I had a feeling about this particular uh, painting, because there was something about the fact that everything about this painting was perfect and beautiful, but there was no face, and it kind of made me uncomfortable. So I turned the portrait around to face the wall. Well, I was performing, and my roommate came in um, with some friends, and she was really distressed. And she asked me if I had gone in her room and borrowed something. And I said, no, I mean, I wouldn't go in your room at all. And if I were to go in, I would ask permission. Um, why are you asking me that? You know? Um, and she said, oh, somebody's been in the house. And so I'm going to spend the night, at one of our friends' house. So I get home and I go and I look in her bedroom, and it was totally demolished. I mean, the
Oh,
mattress had been uh, lifted up. It was looked like somebody just was on a rampage. Her room looked like a tornado had gone through it. And I thought, oh my God, who's been in this house and who would do this? I straightened up her room. I took my shower, and I had two little black cats at the time. So we settled down. I made sure all the doors were closed because one of the kittens was quite adventurous. So I would close everything, the windows, the doors, just to make sure she couldn't go out on her escapades. Well, we're in a deep sleep, and all of a sudden, we hear glass breaking. Well, the kitty knew, sensed something, because one used to sleep at the top of my head. She jumped up and she ran into this kind of like, it wasn't a it was just an area of the house that led to the kitchen. We heard this glass break. So I followed the kitten. I went and, there was a crystal bowl or something that was smashed, and the portrait had been turned around. So stood there, I was really like, what's going on here? What is going on here? Needless to say, it was an uneasy sleep, a very uneasy one. Turned the portrait around, swept up the glass, made sure everything was locked, and we lay back down. Well, it happened again, but it was a crash. And there had been, like, a display shelf that had objects on it. We go out, everything's on the floor. The portrait is turned around so that I could see this faceless woman. And I talked to the spirit because it was obvious anger. And I think the anger came from the fact that her husband had moved on, that he had a girlfriend and he was preparing to get married to this woman, and the children were with him. And I think with this particular spirit who was, and I mean, wreaking havoc, this was like almost, it was, I worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was like she was angry because he had moved on with his life, and she had suffered. The room that my roommate had was the room I think she probably was in all the time, and had actually perished in that room, transitioned in that room. And she was angry that I couldn't discern if she was angry with us for moving in the house, but I did get from her that she was angry with her husband and that he had moved on, because I didn't know if this was a woman that he was seeing while she was ill, probably seeking comfort. Um, but it was very, very frightening to me to come in at night and see everything just like somebody had come in and just had just destroyed things. needless to say, for me, it was enough. And I said to her, you can have your home back. You can have your home because we are leaving.
We out here.
And every time I would turn that faceless portrait around, when this rampage was going on, that portrait was turned back so that this faceless woman was the the portrait was showing this faceless woman every time I turned it around, because it was disturbing to me, and I wondered, like, why would she paint everything so perfectly and not put a face on this painting? And I always had like this eerie feeling about it. Every time she went on a rampage, she would do that and turn that portrait around. And I apologized. I said, I apologize if you are offended that I turned the portrait around. I said, it's because um, it was upsetting to me to see that she didn't give a damn. She was very, very angry. So it was only a few weeks afterward that all of these incidents were happening. That because no windows were open, the house was always locked when we left. So no one could get in if they didn't have the keys. I told her she could have her home back. And I left and moved somewhere else because it was frightening, absolutely frightening.
No
And the
doubt.
thing was, before she would go on these rampages, when I was in the house, the kitties could feel the spirit. They'd
Mm-hmm.
always leap up and run to where they felt it. And it was always in the room with the portrait that I turned around. So, yeah, she was not happy, baby.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, that's it. Ooh.
Here, let me
When I
let me
think
pin
about
this.
it, it gives me the chills. It's like, ooh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Here,
sorry. I didn't
we
mean to.
have Jaconda has, when I was 13 years old, woke up with a black woman in a ball of light dancing at the foot of my bed. She was dressed in all white with those long dresses and one of those wraps around her head. Girl, you got visited by a
You got
whole old
ancestor.
ancestor in enslaved person. Uh-oh.
Shaman, probably. I feel like this was a holy woman that
Mm.
she, with coming in a ball of white and dressed in white, she could have been one of the queens who was the medicine person or the
Oh
prayer person.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Here, Jaconda, do you remember if her arms, if her hand was outstretched towards you? Because if her hand was outstretched towards you like she was giving you something, she was giving you a gift.
A gift, yeah.
Ooh, I
I'm
got
lighting
chills.
incense.
Oh my gosh, I got chills.
Yes, that was an ancestor giving you, if her arms, like Tanya is saying, if her arms are outstretched, she came to give you a gift.
Here's
And sometimes they come to let us know that they are with us, that they are walking with us.
what I missed part of this. Where's the first part of this? Here, Linda Sandoval says, when I come across spirits like that, I listen to them. Or I cross them. Dude. Oh man. I always start off. What is it? Last night I think it was. My dog was growling, growling, growling. And I could
Mhm.
see this is this weird vision thing that I have, and it is interesting. And I don't know if other people have it. But if anybody else has anything like this, please, sound off in the comments. When spirits are in my purview, I literally get a blurry spot. It's either a blurry that I can see. It's like something
Mm-hmm.
is it's like somebody put Vaseline on my eyeball, but only on
Yes,
a
yes,
piece
that's
of
what
it.
I was thinking. Yeah, Vaseline on
Or
the lens.
or else I get a grid. I can see like a grid
Then
and I
maybe
can see
is it the
things
Merkaba that you're
moving.
saying?
Well, I am my protection is a Merkaba.
Okay,
So that's what I walk around in. So
right,
it's not because it's not the same. It's a geometric form, but it's not
right,
the
right.
same. But I can see what I see when I was on vacation and I was taking the dog around the block. The town that I was in is a nasty little town. It really is. Um, this town is probably only about 10 square miles big, and they
Mm-hmm.
probably got 200 churches in that 10 square miles. When I first moved there, the first thing I asked, because it's like I drove into town and it's like every block there was a church and it was a different denomination. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
what the heck are they trying to keep out? Or what are they trying to keep in?
Ah, okay.
And I say that because they just drained their lake and found a whole graveyard.
Oh my, oh my. Same
So,
here with Lake Lanier. There's a whole town of black citizens are underneath this lake.
oh, see, that's part of history, though. Do
Yes,
you
called
know
Otis. It was
almost
called Otisville.
almost every, including Lake Mead out here, there's a city built buried under there too. Almost every man-made lake in these United States is was built atop a black settlement.
That's right. That's right.
Almost every single one of them. And that is the history that they don't want to
They don't
tell
want to be.
nobody.
That's right. It was Otisville was a thriving black community.
Hmm.
It was hated by the Dixiecrats, the racists
Yes.
whose ancestors still live here.
And
You
this is
know,
the
and
thing. People don't understand. They're like, well, why did they hate them? It's because they did
it
everything
froze
they
up a little
could.
bit, baby girl.
We're both freezing.
Okay,
They did everything they could to try to prove that black people couldn't make it. And every town that we built was thriving. And
was
every
thriving.
town they came and they destroyed it and killed our men, sending our women back into their kitchens. This is the part of
That's
history that
right.
they do not want to tell nobody. And I'm glad we talking about this because this is Black History Month. I know we talking about
Yeah.
ghost stories, and doggone it, these are some ghosts that needs to be
And
unearthed.
whenever someone drowns in Lake Lanier, their bodies because they had Lake Lanier is like this place where people want to go and they take their boats out and they're having parties and all of that. And the thing is, whenever somebody is pulled under, you never find that body is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You never and I always thought to myself before I knew this, because I would go out with friends who had boats and we would party and whatever. But I always looked at that water, and there was always something about that water that I did not want to go. I would never get in that water. There was something about it. Oh, come out and swim. There was something about that water that told me no, do not get in this water. And that's because a whole community, a whole city that was a thriving black city is buried
Buried,
within that water.
buried under that water. Yep. And
That's
in
right.
almost every corner of these United States, that story is repeated. It's
That's
like
right.
they went on a crusade to
Right.
eliminate everything, and then want to change the narrative and say, "Oh, we no account. Oh, we trifling. Oh, we're this and we're that." Every time we had an opportunity to start, we built empires. And every
That's
time we
right.
built, they burnt it to the ground and then buried it under a lake.
They sure did. Absolutely. And that is the part of it, because now the descendants are telling the stories, because we have access to we have access to information that was kept from us. So
Kept
now
from
we're
us.
telling the stories.
Yeah, but I want to. Oh, this we gonna have to do a segment on that. But I want to.
Yeah.
I want to go here because Rose Blue says, in October 2022, my mechanic friend Fernando woke me up at 4:30 a.m. talking to me. A week after he passed. What, Fernando? Marie, you need to work on your truck. Marie, did
Mm,
you work on your truck? I hope you did. That was a warning. Here, let's see.
that's
Carrie.
right.
Carrie says, when I lived in Shelville, I saw people passing through all the time. I told my mom we were over a slave graveyard. Woo! So
Oh,
you
yeah.
had spirits just moving through. That's what I have here in my house. It's like just a portal. It's like a gateway. I don't know where
And
they're
they're just
going.
moving through, huh?
It's like a railway station on a stop. Linda Sandal, let's see. Linda talking about her witchery ancestry. Right on. Hail, hail to all the real witches. Jaconda said,
which is a troublesome word, because they were Vodou, or what we call voodoo today, were women that had knowledge. If they knew the spirit of discernment, they knew how to make medicines and potions, and they were healers.
they learned what the herbs did. They learned
That's
how to
right.
use the herbs. And that's why we got called witches. I have an apothecary. I am an herbal
Oh,
healer. That's
baby.
why I make the sachets,
Me
y'all.
too.
That is my thing. I am an herbal. Want to call me witch? Call me a witch. A woman in
Call
total
me a witch.
control of herself. That is what I am. But anyway, listen to this here. These lakes are being drained to show the world America's sin towards Native Black people in this country. Soon they'll have to give back to us, not the so-called Indian, but to us. Yep. But
Well,
and,
that's
and the
what
thing
happened in
is,
California with the governor Gavin Newsom. He proved that this land, which was a beach town and thriving beach town, the black people whose ancestors owned it,
owned it, bought it
tried
from the
it.
city of
He
Los
gave
Angeles.
that back to them and paid them. He gave them their land back.
The first act of true reparation. You know what? And this is and it only takes one, and this is what everybody has got to understand. It only takes one act to break the curse. It
Mm-hmm.
only takes one act. Gavin Newsom could have been that one act to break the curse. Guys,
That's right.
and I don't want to get into politics. I really don't. But
No,
just
no,
look
no.
at it this way. Everything that is happening, 2023 is going to be catastrophic. But on when we come out on the other side, we're going to all be singing a whole new world.
I mean,
2024
we're
is going to
celebrating
be.
Black History Month, and people are trying to make it irrelevant, because, I mean, how can you celebrate Black History Month without Black people? So they're saying that learning history, the true history, doesn't have any kind of educational value,
Of course,
that
of
there's an
course. But
agenda.
this is the same, but I don't want to go on slavery. I don't. This is ghost
Okay,
stories. This is ghost stories. Those are our ghosts, but we can
those
do
are
a
our
whole show
ancestors,
on that
our ghosts.
because then I'll be all mad. I don't want to be mad. It's
No,
Saturday.
we ain't gonna be angry. I apologize if I took us off the rails.
Oh, wait, here's Rose Blue answered the question. It says it's an 82 C10. He helped me do a complete motor tranny swap in my driveway. I got to finish
Wow.
the interior and swap out gas tanks. All right. You better
All
get
right.
on that. Finish that man. That man was helping you build and put a dream together. Honor that man's memory and go on ahead and do that last little bit of work so that he can go take a ride with you.
Well, I do have another one that I can recall. And this was when one of my guardians, one of my angels, identified who they were. I would see this, I would see this figure whenever I was ill with a fever or whatever. I would get a visitation from a man that looked like a warrior, and he would actually have on the native headdress. He would come in full headdress, and he would dance. He would dance and he would sing in whatever their tongue was, and he would stay with me until the the fever broke or until I felt better. And he still shows up in dreams. I've had dreams where I was traveling on a train and we were crossing over. The line of the train was passing over some. I feel like it was around the Gulf area or something that I'm traveling, and he would always appear and sit next to me. Um, yeah, and so whenever I get that fever and I'm not, I mean, truly, is when you get really ill, you're in total submission. You know,
Mhm.
you can't fight anything. And he always comes with his
Well, you
song.
have an intercessor.
Yes, he comes with his
You have your
songs, with
own
his,
shaman healer that
yeah, he comes
comes.
with his songs, his dance, and he stays with me and he sings and he dances. And I can vividly see him in the full tribal, like beautiful headdress, the
Tell me,
full garment. Yeah.
tell me, because I'm hearing. Does he have the little tiny little silver bells all over? I'm hearing
Yes,
the
and he's dancing and he's singing. Yeah.
I
And
hear it.
it's a headdress that we usually see for the chiefs of a tribe, a native tribe. And his has beautiful white. The feathers are beautiful, beautiful white, and it's the full one with the, and he always dances, and I
A
can hear
ceremonial
him.
headdress.
Yeah,
Right on. Oh my
that's
goodness.
lovely.
Right on. That's some serious protection. Oh, let me tell you about some protection here. All right. Here, this is my most recent with my family. My spirit family, my crossed over, my grandfather, grandmother, my mother, and my Aunt Daisy, and an ex-girlfriend named Donna Shane.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. One day I'm sitting on my couch right over there. It was when I had just moved into this house. Um, I was about 276 pounds. I thought I was happy. Thought I was living my best life. My grandfather materialized. I mean, literally, it was like pilot deck of the SS Enterprise. And
Mm-hmm.
my grandpa was there. And he was there first. And then my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, and my ex girlfriend just kind of materialized next to him. The first time
Mm-hmm.
they all were in front of me. And my grandfather, his mouth never moved. He talked to me telepathically.
Yeah.
And the only thing that he said was, you have to change. You have
Mm.
to change. That's all he said. But they all were just looking at me and they were all there. I mean, they were all there. I mean, again, I didn't attempt to touch them, but I mean, they were there. And it was so weird because I mean, I said okay to my grandpa, and that's I literally just gave him lip service and said okay. to my grandfather. But to my ex-girlfriend, I was like mad and said, "Why are you here?" No, and I know, I mean, I was
Yeah.
mad at her because
Yeah.
her grandson, she had just died, and her
Mm.
grandson, who she had raised from an infant, was struggling. And I'm like, why are you in my house? Why are you not with your grandchild?
Mhm.
That was what it was. And I should feel flattered that she actually thought enough about me to come say goodbye,
Mhm.
or to come
Mhm.
say, get your act together before you wind up with us, because that's what it was. That was the first,
Yeah.
and I was just like oblivious. So I did go and sign up to Planet Fitness at that point. That was like 2016, I think it was.
Mhm.
And but I was paying for a membership that I wasn't using. So, but I had signed up. I did something. That was in June or July. And this is the year that this all happened was 2018. So let's get the year. The year is important.
Mhm.
2018. Yes, it was 2018. In September, my grandfather and the whole entourage shows up again.
Mm.
This time, my grandfather is like really being really stern with me, and my mother is sitting next to me, and she is holding my hand. She is touching me. She's literally holding my hand in
Mhm.
hers like this. And I just kind of looked at her, and I'm not afraid. I'm just like thick, just ignorant, dead from here up sometimes. um, and my grandfather says, he's saying the same thing again. You have got to change.
Mm.
And this time, Donna wasn't there. I don't believe she was there the second time, but my Aunt Daisy was. And it was like my grandmother and Aunt Daisy were like pleading, just the look on their face, just like,
Mhm.
why aren't
Mhm.
you getting this? I went to the doctor. I went to the doctor. The doctor was afraid to let me leave her office.
Wow.
She said I was going to either have a heart attack or a stroke.
Oh my. That was how high your blood pressure was? Was it blood pressure?
My whole body chemistry, my cholesterol,
Wow.
my A1C,
Wow.
my diet. I was diabetic at that point. My
Right.
diabetes, my A1C was like 8 something.
Oh,
It was crazy.
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
type 2 diabetic, so I was only taking metformin. So, and
Mhm.
I couldn't, I was eating whatever. I was living off hot fudge Sundays. I tried, trying to eat yourself to death. I had just
Yeah.
retired. I had
Yeah.
just retired. So she, like I said, she was afraid to let me leave her office. Wound up, I came back. She sent me for a whole bunch of tests. When I went to the doctor, well, anyway, I'll just put this out. I got a chest X-ray. I have some type of metal tubular thing about here, and it's good size, that is in my chest.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I've had a pacemaker. My pacemaker was way over here. All right. This is where my pacemaker was, and it's gone. That where
Mhm.
that was and where this thing is two different parts of my body. They did the chest X-ray, and the X-ray technician says, "What is that? What is that?" Because it's not in my heart. It's not in my lung. It's literally in the center of my chest, like somebody
Mm.
took and put it
Yeah.
inside of my body, and it is a cylinder. And they're like, "What is that?" Yeah, I'm like, and I was just joking when I said, "Oh yeah, that's my tracking device." No, 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 no. Because right after that, now this is where it gets crazy, because right after that, now that was September, in November 30th is when I had my alien experience. This is all in the same year. This is
Oh,
one
okay.
after the other. And the day after I had the alien experience is when everything in my life got taken from me. I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking cigarettes. And 3 days later, I was vegan. Uh, yeah.
Mm,
This is what happened. It's like my grandpa showed up twice to get me to do it myself. Actually, he showed up the first time to get me to do it myself. The second time was like, you're gonna die. I believe when I saw the aliens, that was it. It was like it was no longer my choice anymore. It was
right.
like, okay, you're kind of thick, kind of dead from here up, and you're not paying attention. You got all these ghosts that are standing in your doggone living room
Right.
telling you,
Telling you.
I mean, prophetic, you must change, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right, okay, Grandpa, yeah, all right, and I'm still, just doing
Yeah.
my own thing, killing myself slowly, and when I after the alien thing, and then I was vegan, and I'm telling you, I was snatched, I was snatched out of my life. I
Mm-hmm.
was harshly removed from quote unquote reality. And it's like I got drugged face down through rocks and glass and
Uh-huh.
then stood up bloody in front of a mirror and told to look at myself, take myself completely apart and
Mm-hmm.
put it back together, doggone it. And when it took 2.5 years before I came out of that, I wrote
That
I filled up
fog or something.
journals.
Yeah.
I filled up journals. Every day I
Mm-hmm.
was journaling on what was happening to me. I wrote a book about this. I have a whole book written. I just have to find a publisher for it. But I wrote the book on this. And 2 years, and through all of this, I found my biological father. And it was like that was the reward for everything that I had been through. I had went from 276 pounds to I am finally under 200 pounds, you know,
Wonderful.
and
Mm-hmm.
I've kept it off all these years and I've been vegan all these years. And it was like I quit smoking in 3 days. I
Okay.
didn't want this. I didn't
Somebody's here.
ask for it. You got a spirit,
Yeah,
right?
somebody's here.
But that's what I'm saying. So that was my second and third ghost story because they came, and since then, my grandfather. This is wonderful because my grandfather and some female ancestors that I don't know who they are, I just know they're females,
Mm-hmm.
have manifested themselves into um on the path that I walk. There's 3 trees. One of them is the baby that I had an abortion, um,
Mm-hmm.
and one is my grandfather, and one is my female ancestors, and they're in different parts along the path.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Are you a native of Arizona?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I've never met anyone who is actually a native of the state. I know people who moved there. My godmother lives in Surprise, Arizona.
A surprise is right outside of Maricopa, right outside of Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never met a native. All right.
yeah, and well, and actually, I am a government issue baby. To be honest, I was born at Walter Reed Army Hospital in Washington D.C., but I
Mm-hmm.
was, you know, to I was raised in Arizona from the time after I came out of the womb.
Have you visited Sedona or any of those
Yes, I
places?
went to Sedona last summer.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. Went camping in the mountains up there last summer.
Is it true about all the spiritual energy that people say they experience when they go
Yes,
there?
yes. Yes, it definitely is. In fact, all of those mountains up there, you don't have to just be in Sedona. Anywhere up there around the Red Rock area is supercharged.
Also,
The Tonto and Kaibab forests up there, very spiritual. Those are old native lands, old
mm,
native lands. And it is very, Arizona is like on a ley line. So there are
mm,
parts of Arizona that I have been seeing UFOs since I can remember the first UFO, I was 7.
wow.
Um, and that was in Arizona, just playing outside in my front yard, looking up and seeing them.
Hmm.
And it was like, I never understood why I could see them. And it's like everybody else didn't see them. And it's like, I'm like, why come you guys can't see this? And
Yeah,
it's like that great big old planet that's out there that I'm keep telling people go look at. And some people say they see it, but a lot of people don't see it.
they're not open. You got to be open. You got to be
That's a whole planet.
willing. Yeah.
It's a whole planet.
And
And
y'all
it's
not seeing it. It's
big.
like, what's wrong with you? You're not
What's
seeing
wrong
it.
with y'all? Can't see that. Y'all don't see that. Oh my goodness. Whew.
Yeah.
Ah. But Spirit Beyond the Stars says, I believe the houses here in my district are built on top of graves of the slave. You in Oklahoma, so
Yeah,
you
it
are in
could
free
be.
country. It
Yeah.
more than likely though, it's probably more native though, spirits, because that's all natives. And oh my goodness, that was the Trail of Tears. That's where the Trail of
That's
Tears.
right.
You're right.
Was that
You're
Andrew
right,
Jackson that
slaves.
did that?
That's where the Trail of Tears
Yeah.
ended.
It's where it ended.
Oh crap.
Because for even a moment, we black people did have their 40 acres and a mule. And then the administration changed. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it was Andrew Jackson who just wreaked havoc.
Yeah.
Natives, black people, he got in the office. And even though these people had restored the land, were living off the land, and gave it back to the original owners. So, yeah, Oklahoma is very, very. I have my grandparents and some of my relatives are were in the Oklahoma area. So yeah, it's quite possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of Stingley's in the Oklahoma area. A lot of Stingley.
Really,
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yep.
a lot of energy of my ancestors here in Georgia. I did not know that until I started getting a friend of mine called me up. That was when you could get telephone books, a few years ago when I first got here. And he said, "Do you know there's a whole bunch of Hanajas here?" No, I didn't, but I would get phone calls sometimes. Well, you left a credit card here, and so apparently they were my. I guess you call them slave masters. That's what they were. Are very prominent within the state and in Florida. I have to do some more research on that because sometimes you do just get visits. I call them visitations. They just come round to let me know that they are walking with me, that they are, or to comfort me, like my shaman, just to let me know that there's probably a reason that I came here. Oh, all right.
Yeah. Linda Sandoval says, in one of my past lives, I helped slaves escape. They still visit me to this day. Now, that was weird when it first happened. They showed me how I helped. That is
Wow,
wonderful.
that's incredible.
You see, there's so much out here. Oh, let me say hello. We got some new people in the
Yeah,
room.
Carrie and Rose Blue.
Hello, 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 Michelle. Michelle Peterson and Tammy Aldrich. Hello. Carrie, hello. Linda says, even my children could see Nuisance, the spirit. My son goes, Mom, why do you call him Nuisance? Said, for one, he was a 7-year-old native child. Was he a little, did you have a little imp? Was he
Have you
just a
seen
little?
Rose Blue's comment?
No, I haven't. Is it up or down?
It's probably down. It's underneath. Hey, Carrie, you just left Georgia. Rose Blue has a very interesting comment
I'm trying to find it.
about alien
Ooh,
encounters.
love the alien stories. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it. I don't know where it's at in the chat. I'm
The
certain. I don't know. Can
one,
you see
two,
me
three.
scrolling?
She's like fourth up from the bottom, from the
There
very
it is.
last.
Boom.
There it is.
Rose Blue says, at the city park at midnight, at midnight, me and three friends, summer 1983, we saw something red go across the sky and come back around. Not a satellite, too fast. Not a meteor. I believe it to be a UFO. You
Sure,
are absolutely right.
sure. It's
Oh,
the
oh my
arrogance of human beings to think that in these vast universes that we're the only ones here. I mean, please.
Look at Jaconda Thomas. I've seen at least two, a large gray planet and a red planet with black horizontal stripes. We also have a second sun. I have a picture of that second sun. I have a video. I thought I was losing my doggone mind. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I was looking at the sun, and then all of a sudden, it was not, or it wasn't there, or it was there. I got a video on it. I'm gonna have
Uh,
to go back to my social media and re-upload some of those because oh my gosh, the first time that happened, it freaked me out. And the first time that I had what I thought was the sun and the moon in the same sky at the same time, I have that video. I just found it
mm,
yesterday. But that could have been the sun and the moon. But I mean, they were at the same point in the sky at about 9 o'clock in the morning. That is impossible. The moon should have been on the opposite side
right.
of the planet. It should not have been visible. It is crazy. And I have been noticing crazy, crazy, crazy stuff in the sky since 2016.
Right.
Just
And I'm always watching
ridiculous.
the skies. Exactly. There's something happening. And it's ridiculous of us to think that we are not a part of the whole picture.
Diane DL says, oh, wait, where is that planet? Diane, just go outside and look up. Just turn around in a circle and look.
You
If
have
you
to
can
look
see
up.
it, if you can see it, you will see it. If you can see it, you will see it. Whew, my heart is
Yeah.
palpitating.
Yeah.
I
I actually have some
always say
beautiful
it was
photos
Nibiru.
of one of the eclipses. It seems like wherever I am, I have a clear view of the sky, and I'm always looking up. I've always been interested in space and skies and whatnot. And so when we had one of our last, what's the one when the moon is crossing the sun? I, I I have
Lunar.
beautiful photos. I was able to stand outside and watch it as it was moving, and then when it was in full beautiful red, and I stood out there until it passed. It was gorgeous, and I took pictures of the whole thing. Yeah, we are not alone, honey, at all.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. Linda Sandoval expounded on her little imp ghost. She said, "Yes, he was a very active little boy, and he would move my smokes and broom all the time. So I said, when he tells me his name, I will call him Nuisance." Or maybe she said, "Until he tells me his name,
Until he
we
tells
will
me his
call him
name,
Nuisance."
he'll be
All right.
nuisance to me.
Your spirit says, "I live in more Oklahoma, which is the biggest slave ring in Oklahoma, is just a half mile from my house. They have tore everything down at the slavery property except for the mansion. Oh, of course. Of course. Yeah, Rose Blue, just go outside and turn in a circle. Just go outside and look up. If you can see it, you will see it. It will be in the sky because it is not always, and this is the crazy thing, it is not always in the same spot. It ain't.
Mm.
Sometimes it's in the east. No, sometimes it's in the north. Sometimes it's in the south, and sometimes it is in the east. So it is. It is.
I know Jaconda is very, very knowledgeable. She's very plugged in to uh, what we might call aliens, you know.
Did I miss Jaconda's question?
No, because she has made posts and she used to send me an email
Oh, okay.
via email about the activity, the ones that have been transmitting messages.
Here's Carrie. She says, and this is what I keep trying to tell. They are here to help us. They are trying to help us get through
Amen.
2023. From 2023 to 2025, y'all. That's why they're here.
They will not allow this
2023
planet to be destroyed at all. So while
well, they're not going to allow, they're not going to allow certain things to happen. The biggest thing, because there is the visitors, the aliens, whatever you want to call them, they cannot interfere in free will. They can, however, stop a mass,
right,
like another Hiroshima.
right,
And that is what they're literally here to
doing.
prevent from
Right. That's
happening.
what I
They
mean.
are here to prevent some dum-dum from launching
Doing
a
some dumb
full
stuff.
nuclear war. That is why they are here right now.
They are here to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So Carrie says they're helping us to get rid of the evil people amongst us, orange guy and his cronies. Well, not really to get rid of us, but to illuminate that they are a danger. We have to make the decision ourselves. They cannot save us. They will not kill us, but they ain't gonna save us either. We have to save ourselves. Now, for those of us who belong to a different alien group, yeah, your shuttle is on the way. Okay. But for the earthbound souls, there's decisions that have to be made. And nobody can make it for you. These are choices that one has to make within their own conscience, in their own personal reality. And that is basically, are you going to lead, follow, or get ran over? But you're going to have to make a decision.
Yes, exactly.
Rose Blue has, my dad, retired Air Force, was at NORAD for a little bit. I asked him last year about ETs. He says, that's a different department. No, they don't exist. I was thinking, sure, Dad, His non-answer said it all. Yep. You see, my stepfather was too. He worked at SAC, Satellite Air Command. He worked in the golf balls, the ones who knew exactly when the aliens were coming and going. Guys, you want to see aliens? We have a full moon coming up. The aliens move during the full moon and the new moon. They travel onto and off of this planet during the phases of the full and new moon. Tonight is the first phase of the full moon. You want to go out there and see aliens?
Oh, yeah.
Go out there tonight. Go out there tonight and tomorrow night and just train your eyes to the sky. In fact, if you're in a place that it ain't a whole bunch of snow, lay on the ground and just look up. Get yourself comfortable. Get a sleeping bag. Prop yourself up and just look at the sky. Find yourself a place that you have a good, at least, 180 degrees, to see, and just watch the different colors, watch the different shapes. And the ones that are surrounding the planet right now are those little white tic tacs, and they blink, but you can see these little suckers in the daytime sky. The little tic tacs. They look like tic tacs. That's why they call them tic tacs. You see a flying tic tac.
Right, right.
There, the right now is the perfect time to see them.
Perfect time, yeah. Because I'm always looking up to see what's going on.
Kerry says right before the 2020 elections, A. Michael crossed the sky with his sword dragon, pimp dragon, archangel.
Yeah, Archangel Michael.
So, Rosebud, yep, she's Leo. All right, here we go. Jaconda says, well, they're back at the South Pole and they seem to be taking up positions and they ain't going nowhere. Shoot, the South Pole, y'all need to look at that North Pole base. That's a big old base. But see, you know about some bases where the tall white aliens are. Oh, they let you know where they are because those are the aliens that fit in the easiest. They're just tall, thin, white haired, white skinned aliens. And they look like people. They just have thin features and big eyes. Every one of you, every one of y'all has seen one. I am sure of it. If you ever been in a mall, if you have been somewhere outside of your living room, if you have been to a public school function, you have come in contact with a tall white alien. They are
They live
here. They
amongst
live
us.
here. Mm-hmm. And the Greys live here too. The Greys are everywhere and they are all over our government. And those little things are not aliens. Those are little like clones. They're little like machines. They are organic, but they are like an army. They have a mission.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like clones. They are not like they were made by somebody else to do a job.
Yeah.
And those are your abductors and the ones that
Mm-hmm.
want to do butt stuff.
I think as a child, I had that kind of experience in visitation. As a child, you kind of open to these things. And I really recall where I felt as if I was transported to one of these places. I'm gonna have to sit and think about it because I remember that experience. It was like, wow, wow.
Yeah. I'm going back up through the chat to see if I missed any questions or any ghost stories. Yeah,
Yeah, we all can,
I think.
when they materialize, like my little boy who liked to play, you know, it's it was delightful, you know. I named him Keone.
Ah, right on. Oh my goodness.
And the town that you grew up, it sounds like the town that I actually grew up in Nevada, which was the home of the largest ammunition depot in the world. It still exists.
The Elko?
It's right within the Reno, Lahontan, Hawthorne area, which is mid-state. We're close to Reno, Lake Tahoe, that area,
Yeah, up in the mountains.
and that was one of the best kept secrets ever. That it was home to the large. They have bunkers with weapons underneath the ground, and there are certain areas that you cannot enter because they are heavily guarded. So you are not allowed on the property unless you have the proper credentials or whatever,
Let me tell everybody something about all of these underground bunkers and stuff. The US military is every single military base that we have is built on a star fort. And you can best believe it is every one. And you can look on a topographical map and you can see it. They are strategically placed everywhere. Every military base is built on a star fort. Those star forts serve more than one purpose. Those are geolocators for
Mm.
skybound entities, to like airports, like little old cities, old forts that used to be here that people could fly down to and fly up from. Those are also entrances into inner earth that the US government knows full
It
well
knows
about.
more about than
You
we,
know,
yeah, and
this
other
is the
stuff.
whole thing. They try to keep us like we're toddlers. They keep us drugged and in a state of, they keep us in a monkey state to where we think that we understand what's going on and we get glimpses of what is true. But they keep us drugged. They do. They put fluoride in our water. Every one of you who drinks fluoridated water, how many of you still got cavities? If the fluoride in the water was to stop you from getting cavities, you
That's
wouldn't get
right. That's
fluoride.
why I think they took it out of some toothpastes that had fluoride in them.
Fluoride does one thing, and Adolf, you know who, from Germany, is the one who made them start putting it in everything. The addition to fluoride in water or food calcifies the pineal gland,
Yep.
your third eye.
And
That
some
is your plug to the
to
ethereal.
that's right. And that is very interesting that you bring up the pineal gland, the third eye, because what was discovered when bodies were being returned from Vietnam of soldiers who had perished, they found that within the white soldiers that came back, that their pineal glands were calcified. The black soldiers that came back had very active pineal glands. So that says something to me about how powerful, how special we are.
Melanin is,
Yes. And
because
every,
that is what protect the pineal glands in the black
yep.
people was the melanin. And that's
And they
why,
said that
and
it was
believe
very
me,
active. Even
y'all,
when they were dead, it was, it was still active, that those crystals that were surrounding it were very active still.
and but I want to say this to the black folks and the white folks that are out there. That addition of
Fluoride.
fluoride was for us. That was to disconnect us. That wasn't for the white folks, y'all. That was the government trying to unplug us.
Yep.
You can believe me or don't. Look it up. Look it up.
Yeah, the
Please,
information is there.
please doubt everything I say and go look this stuff or up for yourself. Please distrust everything I tell you and go look it up for yourself so that when you read it for yourself, you will understand why you should never, ever, 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 ever trust the government. Okay. They gonna
Because
lie.
all we think we
They
know, there's
gonna
so much
lie
more that
and
we don't
lie and
know.
lie. We are meat bags that they want to use to make products and keep the rich rich. If they wanted to help us succeed and be happy, we would be succeeding and be extremely happy.
Well,
Okay?
look at all the brilliant cancer research that came from Henrietta
There
Lacks.
are cures for cancer.
Yeah,
Cancer
Henrietta
can be
Lacks, a
cured with
black woman
sound.
who went to, I think, Walter Reed, one of the hospitals because she was ill. Hers is the longest DNA strand. They use this for all of these one, and not just for cancer, for all of
Henrietta
the
Lacks.
cures. Henrietta Lacks, and you can still buy those. There are governments, there are scientists there who are still purchasing her DNA, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to put up a statue. Her relatives are saying, pay us the money, baby.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you want to acknowledge by putting up a little statue, but you have used this for cancer research for centuries. Pay us. If you want to take our relatives' DNA strand, pay us.
Mm-hmm. Carrie says, stop eating their food. It's killing us.
It
I'm
really
telling you,
is.
Carrie, since I got COVID, I am making soups every week, homemade, straight out the vegetables, and I not processed. I'm eating
You
soup
have to, I mean,
and
it may cost
making.
a little more money, but the organic
It
things,
doesn't. It doesn't cost
it
more. It
really
really
doesn't when
does
you,
not. I spend less money. I'm spending more because you have to use your vegetables, and that's the thing.
right.
Vegetables,
If
organic
you
vegetables
get
will go
a
bad on you
vegetable
within
and
four
that
days.
girl
You got
doesn't
to use
break down over time, that is there are actually those codes, those on the little stickers, those codes, if it begins with a 4, that is a messed with product, a messed with vegetable. I put a tomato out one time and I looked at that tomato and I kept looking at it, kept looking at it, and that girl didn't deteriorate. She didn't. And when I cut it open, I could see something was sprouting
it
in
inside of
it, but it was all weak. It was weird, weak. I said, see, no, I'm
it.
not
Mhm.
eating that. I'm not going to eat
And
that.
that's what people got to understand. What is that doing to your body on the inside
Right.
when you eat it? If it's doing, oof, and this is what this is. And but again, can't worry about this. This is why people got to be able to grow something of their
That's
own.
right.
You got to. This is no, there's no joke. If you can grow
Hmm.
something of your own.
Because my parents, we grew everything we ate. We could go out to our backyard and they had a community place where there were community gardens. So we knew what we were eating.
Oh, I love this one. Yes. Y'all who live, and I got goosebumps about this one because that is the best place to see UFOs.
That's
Spiritually
right.
on the Star says, my son doesn't even believe in aliens, but he lives in California and he was at the ocean. He says he looked across the ocean and saw a spaceship enter the ocean and disappear.
That's where
He
that's
so did.
that's right. That's right.
Yep,
That's
they
right.
dip in. Bloop. And if
Yep.
you look, guys, you want to see like roads, look on Google Maps. Look at the bottom of the ocean. Look at all the roads that crisscross the bottom of the ocean.
That's right.
You can see tracks in some of them, like treads in some of those tracks. Just look. Guys, you want to mess around with Google Earth, you can find all
A whole
kinds
bunch of stuff.
of
Yeah.
stuff. Just if you have an afternoon to kill, instead of being on Facebook or TikTok, go on Google Earth and see what you can find. All
Yep.
right. Now, we've been on here for a little while, and Tanya tired,
She
and
must be
Tanya
having
been
a
up
good
since early
time.
this morning. Jazzy, you have anything you want to say to end this broadcast?
Well, I just want to say to everyone, first of all, don't be so concerned about what is going on in the future. Remain in the present because sometimes you want to go so far into what is going to, that you create that. Stay in the moment. Enjoy the beauty of the moment and don't worry. Don't I know I'm a big prayer warrior. I know it works. It changes the vibration. You can call on your ancestors, you can call on your guides, you can call on your angels. You don't pray to angels, you thank them for their protection because they're sitting around waiting for you to give them an assignment. What do you want me to do for you today? So do your best to keep your vibration as high as you possibly can. Take a half an hour of the day with no electronics. I have days when I shut down all electronics. Take moments where there's no distraction and just receive the message, because the creator, the infinite wisdom, infinite love is always speaking to us. But you can't hear if you got MSNBC on something. I mean, you got to tell, you get up, the first thing you do is look at your cell phone. Chill, chill. You'd be surprised at how you can ask a question and get an answer. You'd be surprised and how much better your day will go. And just please walk in love and beauty, because the way has been paved in love.
So
As
that was
corny
beautiful.
as that may sound.
It wasn't corny at all. It was beautiful. Jaconda says, next time you see Dutch sense, look at the Pacific Ocean when he scans it. Notice the huge dragon at the depth of the ocean. It looks to be rising. They're back.
They're back. That's what I'm telling you. In Hawaii,
All right.
in the Pacific, it's magic. I'm telling you, there's magic there.
I love Hawaii. I've
Oh,
only
yeah.
been once and can't wait to go back.
Go back. Yeah.
What Mildred says. Wait, what did Mildred say? Hold on. Just live this life and not worry about the future life.
That's
And
right.
that's what everybody remember. We only have today. Tomorrow never, ever, ever comes. If any of y'all see tomorrow, let me know. Okay. I ain't never saw tomorrow. Every time I wake up, it's today. I
That,
ain't woke up in
that's
tomorrow
right.
yet. I ain't woke up in tomorrow yet. And I haven't woke up in yesterday either. So
Mm-hmm.
leave the past in the past. The future is a mystery. Let it be a mystery. Live
Exactly.
today. Because if
Exactly.
you just have, do you. Don't
Yes.
worry about nothing. Don't worry about what nobody thinks. Don't worry about what nobody says. If you are too busy living your own life, feeling good
That's
in
right.
your own skin, you ain't
You ain't
nobody
got
gonna be able
time.
to worry you. You
Yes.
won't have time for nothing else
That's right.
because you will be too busy dancing to the beat of your own drum.
Yes, you
Fuck
just preached the sermon.
everybody else.
Yes.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
All right, then. All right, y'all. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you, everybody in the chat who came. Thank you. The next episode will be hosted by Jazzy Jace, and that'll be on the fourth Saturday of this month. And Tia didn't make it. So, y'all, her birthday is on Tuesday, the 7th. So, since keep a secret, I want all of y'all to go to Wrestling Reed's page on Tuesday or even today and put a great big happy birthday to her if
Yeah.
you wouldn't mind. I love you guys. I
Love you
love you.
all. Thank
I
you so
love
much.
you. Thank you for
See you
coming.
next time on Real Talk.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.